All right, guys. Here we go. We're less than a month away. This is the What Podcast. All we do is talk about Bonnaroo and music festivals in general, but mostly we talk about Bonnaroo. I'm Barry, that's Lord Taco. With us also is Brian Stone, who's been to every single one. I've been to, I don't know, 18 of the 21, whatever. Russ, you've been since 2018. Guys, we're
That's
veterans.
right.
We know
Yeah,
what this month means, right? We know
yeah.
how to act.
Taco,
Or
that number's starting to build for you. 18 was a while ago now. So,
It is. It should have been more. Of course, we
well,
missed
that's
two.
true.
So
That's true.
I think,
That dings the number a little
yeah.
bit there.
But yeah, going back to 2018, that's quite a slice of time now.
and that's kind of what we're going to get into a little bit here, and we'll do it a little more later on. But we kind of know literally the lay of the land. We're even going to have Brian has been over there and took pictures as he does every year. We're most of us, the three of us, are what, less than an hour away from Manchester.
Yeah.
So we kind of feel like it's our own. We know the place a little bit better than most, and I don't mean that any other way than we know it. We drive by it all the time.
Yeah, been there so many times. It's ridiculous, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to get into a little bit of that, and we're going to do some silly stuff, and then later I'm going to do my picks. But what I want to start with, Russ, you've been to my basement. You've seen my collection of records. I'm into music. Brian, you've been in the radio business forever. Russ, you have a nice collection of records. We're into music. Guys, I was given a Victrola, 110-year-old Victrola.
Oh my God! I was looking,
Wow.
and I apologize for my scratchy voice today. Everybody out there, we're just gonna have to deal with that. But I saw your picture in our thread, and I thought, I was like, I think that's what I think it is.
Yeah,
An old, at least record player of sorts.
That's what it is.
A Victrola, 110 years old, huh?
110, and so I don't know why. I just wanted to. I'm so fascinated by it. My point in
I've got I've got like 5 old consoles. Now the
Yeah.
oldest is a 1942, I think, a 1940 something Zenith.
Nice.
That's my prized console record collection.
Nice.
And the radio
Nice.
worked still, AM only. Last I checked, but that was like 10 years ago. But it's beautiful, but it ain't a 110-year-old Victrola. It ain't that.
No, and so, I mean, I'm refurbishing this thing, and as soon as we get off here, I'm going to go elbows deep back into it because it is gunked up in oil and grease, and I'm going to be covered in it from my earlobes down, and I
That's-
can't wait.
Oh, I bet.
That's a big that's a big a chore, and it sounds like a pretty exciting chore.
Oh, I
actually,
mean,
yeah.
Russ is gonna. If you guys are not, if you're on YouTube, we're gonna. I posted some pictures, and he's gonna share them. But it's so cool, man. I mean, this thing is literally 110 years old. I have, along with it, came several Elvis Presley records, a Buddy Holly record, and this Thomas Edison thing that I don't even know what it is. It's got like a holographic on it. It's got to be a quarter-inch thick, and I'm just fascinated by the whole evolution, literally, of how this stuff works.
Well, I was gonna say, I might have some records that could play on it. Is it take the 78s?
Yeah, see, that's the next level. So that would have been in the 40s.
Okay, so this is even earlier because
Oh,
I've got some
it's
old shellac records.
1916,
Yeah.
1918
Wow.
era. And you think it's old and rare, but they sold millions of these things. The exact one that I have. This was the thing, but it was like $1,500 in today's money.
Yeah. I mean, back in those days, it was go to a baseball game, a horse race, or listen to the radio. I mean,
Exactly.
that's what you
Yeah.
did for fun. So,
And the
yeah,
and
I
the
get it.
interesting thing is I had to buy some new needles, and you can get all kinds of parts. You can get brand spanking new parts for this whole thing. I bought 300 needles because you get one needle per record. Think about that.
Is that right? Is that
Yeah.
how that is? I mean, because
Yep.
those are those sharp, like super sharp
Oh,
needles.
yeah, they're-
like you could hurt somebody with those needles.
Half inch long, super sharp, but the
Yeah.
record is harder than the needle. So
Yeah.
you get one.
Right, the record wears down the
Correct.
needle versus the other way
Right, so
around.
It's
I
like that
walked in
old
there.
when you see someone smash the record and it goes into 1,000 pieces. If you take a vinyl record, that's not going to happen. This is
No, no,
that.
no.
This,
Right.
Yeah, this is that. Like breaking a glass porcelain plate or something.
I'm so excited about it because it's so crazy because I love the new technology. My whole house is wired. I can literally get on my phone and play music in any room in my house. But I'm so excited about this stupid thing, which I'm gonna spend all this time making work, and then I'm never gonna touch it again.
It's great, and not to go all old men on new generations, but technology has made us conditioned to think old is junk. Your old phone is junk. Your old car is junk. Your old computer is junk.
Right.
And there's a certain cross pollination of generations. I would say boomer-ish to Gen X to a little bit of maybe millennials, maybe that appreciate the old and the new. And those are the people that are the smartest people in the world, and we're included in that. Because
I love it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because speaking of refurbishing old things, I just finished refurbishing my old iPod. 110-year-old
yeah,
iPod.
110-year-old iPod. I
Yeah.
wonder what you were doing with that thing, Russ.
So, yeah, I cracked it open, I replaced the battery, first of all. The battery was absolutely shot, wouldn't hold the charge for 10 minutes.
Shocking.
And then also, replaced the hard drive because these things came with physical hard drives in them. Replaced it with a flash storage, which is obviously what we use now. So, it's like quadrupled the capacity. And so now I've just been loading it up with songs I've got. And that's the other thing I've been doing is ripping all of my CDs. There's probably 500 CDs here that just never made it to the, to the computer to rip. So that's what I've been going through and doing. And now I'm loading them all up on the iPod.
So what are you going to do with this iPod, Taco? You're going to plug your earbuds in and listen?
Yeah. Are you like me? You're going to spend all this
plug earbuds
time
into
and then
it.
you're going to get it working and
Not
hear
use
one
it.
song and then never touch it again.
That's usually how it goes, yeah. But in this case, this is specifically for the bus. I like having my radio in the bus. I put a new radio in, obviously, and it's new enough to have Bluetooth, but also old enough to still work with iPods. So I plug this thing in. I can have music for days, literally.
And then you don't have to have
it
your
doesn't
phone
matter
tied
'cause
up.
I don't have to
Yeah,
have my phone
okay.
tethered to it.
I get
And
it.
if I drive through a dead zone where there's no cell service, you can't stream Spotify. So, this
Man's a
way
genius,
I'm always going to have.
ladies and gentlemen. Man's
Yeah.
a genius.
Are you guys like me?
So this is what I've been working towards.
Are you like me? I can't stand having something in my house that doesn't work. I don't care what it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I will
Well,
obsess over it until it works, and then
I
I don't
get-
care anymore.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from on
Right.
that. I'm just the
Yeah.
least. I mean, Brad Steiner, founder of the show, one of the co-founders, might be the least handy man in the world.
Yep.
I'm like tied or right behind him is just as bad. I can't fix a damn thing. I can't fix
No.
anything.
I'm like Taco. I wish I had my iPod Nano. I loved that thing.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? It was about that big.
Yeah.
I don't know where it went. I still have the charger. Why do I still have the charger? But I do. I don't know where it went, but I
In
love
case it
that
turns
thing.
up.
It
I
would
never
clip onto
owned
a
an
hat.
I never owned an iPod. Never
Oh
owned
my
one.
God, I love those things. I get
Now
it.
I had a
man.
smartphone from a very early age, and it turned into an
Me too.
iPod. But I've never actually owned the thing because I was like, no, CDs. I collect CDs. I mean, I have 500,000 CDs too that are just stacked up in boxes that won't have the same collectability as records, but they have a little collectability to me.
Yeah, they're-
so I let those stack up and
Well,
just sit in the
everybody
corner.
asks me, this shelf's behind. Those are CDs. That's real. That's not
Yeah.
not a green screen. That's part of my collection. I
My
can't get rid of.
DVDs, CDs. I ain't getting rid of a damn one of them.
I got VHS.
No.
I
I do have some VHSs. too.
Yeah.
You need the Avengers
Shelves
on
full.
VHS. I got it. I'm looking at it right now. But I'm with you, man. I understand, Taco. If it's in the house, man, it's got to work. It has to work. And
Yeah.
I'll spend
I will sit there and tinker with something for hours.
crazy money
days.
to make it work, and then I won't touch it
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you mentioned Brad Steiner. I'm glad you did. We all three of us got to hang out with Brad Guy, as
Brad
some
Guy.
of us know.
Mm-hmm.
Brad was
Guy.
in town. He's the co-founder of this show. He's the basically the. Not what do you want to call him? Not that he's the driving force, I guess, behind Camp Nut Butter. The name came from his wife Hillary, Brad's the one who brought the fence and the carpet and made it, stupid, crazy Camp Nut Butter.
We all had our own contributions, but his vision is kind of what really set it off once upon a time. I hate to give him too much credit too often, but he does deserve it in a lot of cases, and this is one of them. And
he does.
And when he was in town, it's
he's
like
the idea guy.
It's like he never left. It's like he's been here the whole time.
Yeah.
It was actually almost annoying.
You were going to say something, Russ?
Yeah, well, he's the idea guy, and then so he dreams up all this stuff, and then we're the ones that have to do it.
Yeah,
I'm the one stuck with the couch that I got to drag there every year because he wanted the couch. You know?
That's exactly
the
right.
year we were going to make and this was before podcasting became a more, I don't have my good piece of equipment here, but basically the size of this. We had to bring a lot. So this would have been like 2018, maybe 19, and we were making the podcast studio. And his brain was working 100 miles an hour, and we were sitting at the station and just going through that. He was calling you, Barry, over and over. I mean, you have no reason to probably remember this. He called you like 5 times in a row in like 20 minutes about the podcast studio. You're like, man, your brain is working overtime, man. What do you got now?
Yep.
And then, of course, it's like, you guys go make it happen.
Well, yeah, that's what
we did.
We were, I've said this many times, we were at lunch, and I said, we need to do a live show from Camp Nut Butter. And what you just described, you could see the wheels. He went bing, and he, 2 days later, he's got, I got us a website, I got a name, I got graphics. Nick Turner's already done. Yeah, and by that Monday, I think I was in the studio recording the first podcast. So, yeah, he's definitely an idea guy. But it was so fun hanging out. And Brian, I mean, you, I don't know, you went full Keith Hernandez, right? I mean, who asked somebody to drive them to an airport, number one, and an airport in Nashville?
Oh, God, it was so terrible. It ruined my whole week.
You drove the man from Chattanooga to Nashville on a Saturday morning. He had a, 10 a.m. flight?
10 a.m. flight. I was up at 6:30. You know, 6:30 in the morning. I know, Barry, that's just a day for you. But
that's breakfast.
That's an event. Like, that's an event. I need 48 hours to get ready for that. Plus, he wants me to go hang out and eat crawfish all night long the night before. Like, Brad, if you want to go to the airport tomorrow, you're going to have to.
What does he care? He's going to sleep in the passenger seat while you drive to Nashville.
Yeah, but that wasn't a very hard favor to fulfill because I will be leaning on him heavily in September.
Yeah, we talked about that.
When I'm up there in New York, I will be leaning on him for everything monetarily. Room and board. We're going to Pearl Jam at Madison Square Garden, and I've even hinted these better be good seats, Brad. You better not. He
always comes through. We said that
he always does.
with shaky knees, right? I mean,
yep.
Taco day before was like, I still don't have shaky knees tickets. I'm like, Brad always comes through.
He does.
Bluster, whatever you want to say, he's never let anybody down that I know of. So
yeah, I wasn't too worried. I was a little worried
I'm
just to
worried.
not have the
always worried
because he said, yeah, you'll get an email. I didn't have an email.
Yeah, it's Thursday. We're leaving tomorrow.
It came through,
and then he gets mad at you. If you, like,
I told you I handled it.
Do you know who I am? But it was nice to. It was a beautiful morning, and it is. I do understand and the value of waking up early, especially on a nice day. It gives you a fresh start rather than dragging your ass out of bed like I normally do at 10 a.m. if I'm lucky. And as we were on our way up, Brad said. Kind of throwaway comment, but kind of serious. But it was like, man, I wish we had a little bit extra time. I've never done this trespassing thing. I mean, it's not really trespassing. I've had clearance, kind of, sort of, before. I was like, yeah, but I mean, mostly I know you're joking, but surely the farm's starting to be busy at this point. I don't know. I don't know the timeline, but I thought this is probably pushing our luck to go. Trying to get close to the farm when we're 27 days away from the festival. And after I dropped him off and headed back down and just got lucky, no traffic at all, beautiful drive in and out, 2 hours from where we live to the Nashville airport. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just go take a look.
Nice.
I got nothing to do. It's at that point it's like 11 a.m. and I'm like, I'll just go take a look. And there was nobody there.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I think it's the end of next week they start showing up.
Maybe it's I don't know. Everybody just the calm before the storm, as they say. And boy, the place looked great. I mean, it's manicured though. I mean, the place is manicured. It's ready, but nothing's there yet. Nothing that's not there year round. And so it's just a beautiful day. Got a couple shots. I have a secret. I'm gonna keep it with me and how this works.
All right.
Don't disturb anything. Don't hurt anything. Don't take
Exactly.
anything.
I want to go back just real quick because Russ and I got to hang out with Brad on Friday and his nephew Emmett.
Yeah.
And Russ, I mean, Brian, you weren't there, but Russ, have you ever seen worse pool than what we played on Friday night?
No, and I include myself in that.
I'm
100%.
100%. We're all in.
Yeah.
The 8-year-old might have been the star, and he'd never played before.
He was trying to teach the child how to play, right? And
it was awful.
Yeah.
Brad, pool? Really?
Awful.
Yeah. I'm not any good either.
It was a lot of fun. It was fun seeing him again. It was fun hanging out with his nephew, who, by the way, is pretty good at the trash talking. I can't remember all the names he came up for me, but some of them landed. They stung a little.
Yeah, he knows how to. Yeah, he knows how to hurt you with those name calling and the trash talking. It was.
Well,
funny.
Uncle Brad has a lot of influence in a lot of people's lives.
Yeah,
he does. He looks up to Brad.
it was a lot of fun.
I don't know
it was
why,
fun to
but-
hang out. It
Yep.
was fun to see him and fun to revisit a lot of memories. So, and all right, yeah, you. I know Russ has already posted that picture that you took. How many years have you done this, Brian? You go every year, right?
Yeah, I started this quite 2004 probably.
Okay.
Where in the off season I would they used to not even have a hardly a fence. I mean, you just
Right.
it wasn't even a challenge. You just walk around. That's changed over the years, and it is trespassing. Let's just get totally clear. If you go on this farm that's not yours, on anybody's property, that's not okay in a lot of senses. And I said it flippantly, but I have once upon a time, a long time ago, knew somebody got to know somebody who was kind of one of the year-round groundskeeper guys, and I would wear my Bonnaroo crew shirt, and I kind of made stuff out like, hey, yeah, I'm working on website stuff. We're doing this. He's like, oh yeah, go right ahead.
Checking
go
out the
right
flux capacitor to make sure it's still working here.
So I noticed this time as I was driving down Brushy Branch Road that there's this really nice fence, not a chain link, not something you can just easily jump over or bend apart. And that's keeping people out quite a bit, but there's still one little spot that no one's going to know about. And it is just beautiful. It's kind of like a Zen thing, you know. Anybody who's listening to this can understand it, I would guess, that where I'm coming from on that. And it makes my damn day. It's just the weirdest thing in the world. I hate everything. I'm the worst guy ever. And then I'm just like, oh my God, how peaceful is this on a beautiful day?
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful property. And just to see it in the off season, and it's the same thing every time, and I'm still like, whoa, there's that again. It's just so much. It's just neat. It's just neat.
Well, I think it's important, and maybe I need to bring people up to speed. It's called the farm. Everyone affectionately calls it the farm.
Yeah.
That's because it is a farm. It's a 700-acre farm in Manchester, Tennessee, surrounded by farms.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. The mountains are 40 minutes away, 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous. And it is nothing other than 3 weeks in June, other than a farm, right?
And there's just enough infrastructure left over all year round. There's not much. They tear down just about everything, but there's
Right.
just enough
Yeah.
infrastructure that's got its core foundation, like the fountain, a couple of different the barns and things like that, and it's just and that tent and this tent and the Bonnaroo Superstore that you've seen at the official merch tent, those kinds
Well,
of
that's what I
signage.
wanted to ask. I always wondered. They don't take everything down.
No,
right?
they leave enough up to where those this that merch, those things, those have been long since.
Those do stay.
Yeah.
I always got conflicting information on that. Some people had told me that stuff comes down. So
Yeah, they're hardwired into the ground, I'm guessing.
that's what I figured. And
Yeah.
they bought it
Yeah.
when they first when it first went online, so to speak, in 2002, it was they rented.
Yeah.
And I think through 2005, if I remember
Maybe even
right,
longer than
they
that.
started buying.
I think they
started buying the
They
property.
started picking up a little extra piece every
Right.
few years until where eventually they, whoever they ended up being, they owned majority of that 700 acres. So a
Right.
lot.
So they could.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So
they could do infrastructure repairs,
exactly.
plant trees,
Exactly.
Grade roads, figure out stormwater runoff, little things like that I've talked about for years that we notice, but most people, when you come, you don't know.
Yeah.
Like if it rains, it doesn't puddle, in this spot.
Yeah, and it took them a
that
long
type of
time to
stuff.
get that storm runoff stuff figured out,
Yeah, it was
and they
huge.
probably still don't have it completely because you maybe never could. There's just so many people there in such a small area, but they've got a lot of concrete that was thrown down. I remember when that first happened, we even talked about it. Like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I think about that.
I like the grass.
It's better.
Yeah, right.
It's better. It's
Right.
way better.
But the other big part of the reason this, I think, is worth talking about is part of the reason we started this podcast is we were fascinated with how do you turn a 700-acre farm in Manchester into the 5th largest city
To
in
its own little
Tennessee
city, yeah.
with everything that can handle 80,000 ticket buyers plus 10 to 15,000 staff. And I mean, it's so funny to think, Brian, you were there yesterday.
Yeah.
And
it was
in
just yesterday.
4 weeks or less, 3 weeks, there will be, close to 80,000 people.
And the traveling circus.
Eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, the traveling circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we love.
It's just wild.
to me.
I usually, and when I've done this in the past, I go on days like Good Friday or just days where communities, especially in rural areas, are dormant for the most part. Like I don't
Right.
know what the work schedule is on the farm, but I'll pick times when I know or I feel like I know that there's not anybody. I'm not there to cause trouble, and if anybody has ever taught, I'm gone, and it's a very respectful situation. This was a roll of the dice because I thought I think I'm pushing my damn luck because I can't tell
Right.
if anybody's in there or not, and it's kind of a silly thing to run into
Right.
any issues with. I mean, there could be somebody who's like, if you get out of here, or we're calling the cops or
Right.
something. You never know, because there is valuable stuff on that farm technically from tractors,
Sure.
and I mean, there's still plenty of things there, and there were people there working, but it was off in the distance, and I think it was bringing in trailers, that smaller stuff. I heard some lawnmower things going on, those kinds of things, but it was off in the distance, and they were. And I'm in and out in 30 minutes. Like so
Yeah.
I
mean, it's interesting because I know my daughter, worked for AC, interned and then worked, and so she did work with them. So they used to go. The staff would arrive if it's middle second week in June. They would arrive the first day of June 1.
Yeah.
somewhere in that, depending. And they would mostly stay off-site in hotels, a lot of them, and then they would start building all the camping areas, and they would build their own, and then she would be on site for a week.
I know a lot of people
prior to
who've done
everybody
work
else.
like that over the years. So I have a lot
Yeah.
of stories about, and those are can't remember any of them. They're not super notable, but they're interesting in themselves. The frog boiling, like it's as it starts to come up around
Right.
you, it's a whole nother experience. People and they're the same deal. They're working, but they're like, the beginning is the best part. Like this is so cool to see come together, and that's what makes that September Roo with the hurricane that much harder to kind of wrap your head around. They do all that for that 2.5-3 weeks, whatever it is exactly, but roughly about that. Build this city, put their just hearts and souls into these stages
Right.
and lighting and everything. Forget all the manual labor of just the heavy lifting. And then what was it? Was
Yep.
it 48 hours or less? Was it 24 hours and we have to cancel? And it's like, we gotta tear all this
36.
down like immediately.
And we can't because we can't drive through the mud.
So that's the year I even remember thinking that the most, like, because I'm starting to understand what it takes to build this, and then the heartbreak it must be to the people who, that's an art. That's an art form in itself. That you're proud. Look at what we just did, and now we got to tear it all down.
That's probably that Brad again, bringing Brad back. That's what he always says is walking along and seeing the 8 million lines of cable, on the road that we all step over. And he was like, somebody had to put this here.
Yeah.
And this generates the stage, and this does this, and this does that, and yeah, that's what's so fascinating.
And it's always so, I can remember a few shows. Lord is the first one that pops in my head in 2017. That had a major power issue on the stage. We know there's been a few over the years, but generally speaking, everything runs without much of a hitch. I mean, it really is. It's a pretty well-oiled machine.
Yeah, to the point you don't even really think about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember coming back after the first full year that I went, which would have been 2007, I guess. First full time that I was there, trying to describe people back at the paper where I worked, the newspaper. What's it like? I'm like, well, you see that building across the street that's like 5 stories and it's about a block long or half a block? That's how big the big stage is. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. No, I'm not kidding. Imagine.
It's hard to explain.
It's so hard
Yeah.
to
Hard to
explain,
explain.
and there's 10 of them.
And then for those
or
who
whatever.
wonder, the witch stage does not have any foundational leftovers. It is a 100% built and torn down stage every year. We've been wondering for years if they might build something a little more permanent, but they have not. So the what has its skeleton, and it's a beautiful skeleton because you know what it looks like when it's done, and it's fun to look at. But the witch is just, you got to kind of just use your imagination. Okay, witch is about right here, that kind of thing.
Right. All right, so for you guys, and we probably spent more time on this than we should have, but it means a lot to us, and I keep thinking about you guys that have never been. You're like, what are they talking about? When you're there in 3 weeks and you're stepping over miles of cables and everything, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That stuff was not there a month ago.
Yeah, 27 days before, there was zero amount of that stuff.
Nothing.
Like you said, I bet by this weekend, we're on Thursday, the whatever day it is, 22nd. By this weekend, that place will be just
They start
hustling
rocking
and
and rolling.
bustling, and then so yeah, don't try to go get a look at the farm starting now because they will run you off.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of news, and then later we're going to do my picks,
Sure.
such as they are. Russ, you saw a thing, Fred again. What was that about?
Apparently, so EDC Las Vegas, which is a big EDM festival in Las Vegas.
EDC, huh?
Apparently, apparently they just brought out Fred again as like a surprise headliner, guest, I don't know, which directly contradicts what C3 told us back at the beginning of the year, that Bonnaroo was going to be Fred again's only North American festival that he's headlining.
So are the semantics there that this is not a festival? That he was
It's
just
a
at?
festival,
Or it's a
maybe,
festival?
Yeah, I don't. Maybe they're going to say, "Oh, he didn't headline; he was just a guest or something." I don't
They're
know how
just
they're
hoping
gonna,
nobody asks.
Yeah, well, people have taken notice online and have pointed it out. So
Yeah,
That Fred again show is excitement is built. I can tell. I can feel it online.
yeah, I'm in.
I can feel that that's happening more and more. I don't think it'll take away from it, but it does go. Leave it to these Live Nation guys and gals. Ugh, just do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Tell you one thing, do another.
Well, life is,
What are you gonna do?
things
What are you
change.
gonna do?
I'm not butthurt over
No,
it.
I'm not either.
No, I'm not
but
either.
They did say one thing and do another.
Right. And then you can also confirm, you think, right, that Skrillex is not going to be the surprise guest, right?
No, we've been saying this whole time. Don't expect, because you get your expectations out of control, you're just going to get disappointed when it doesn't happen. And, everybody thought this surprise We're in the Woods headliner was going to be Skrillex.
That can actually lead to some problems, too, when you leave people guessing too much. And just the fastest reference was the Woodstock 99 thing. I think it was going to blow up anyway, like literally on fire. But there was a surprise announcement at the end, and no phones back then. What's going to be that final? The Rolling Stones people were talking about were going to show up and play at the very end. I mean, what a ridiculous thing that was. Yeah, and there was nothing. There was a hologram of Jimi Hendrix, and then the place went up in flames. So I'm not saying that. But one thing I will say about this Alison Wonderland thing, she's scheduled for midnight to 3 a.m. at Where in the Woods on that Sunday.
Yeah.
That is Bonnaroo letting this festival continue to roll like sanctioned till very late. By the time the headliner's done on Sundays, which is usually around 11, they're done with us. They're done. That festival, the security, the employees, the volunteers, everybody, they are done with you to the point where they will be rude that's fine. It's over. It's like, and most people are still being jackasses and don't want it to end. And it's like, no, out of here, almost like barricaded off. Right. And to add this, I know it's in Where in the Woods, which is not in Outeroo, so they can still do a version of no here, but go party over there. To be able to let that party just keep rolling into its schedules till 3, so that means 4, 5. That's pretty cool. I mean, Bonnaroo's giving you every opportunity to milk how much money you're spending for this festival, from how much they've added for Thursday and how much they've added to Outeroo, which we have the list in front of us, and I don't have a lot of commentary on much of it, but it's loaded. They are giving you every opportunity to stretch the dollar you spent to go there, and that's, to me, that's awesome credit to the festival organizers.
Yeah. Anything else on that, either of you? I want to jump into Outeroo a little bit.
Yeah, let's do Outeroo.
That schedule came out. I don't have a lot of comments other than it starts on Tuesday.
Yeah. Forgive me, I threw away all my printouts on accident, so I'm having to use my phone for the few notes that I have. But yeah, it starts on Tuesday. There's 3 acts in Where in the Woods on Tuesday. That's
including the Mojito Brothers, which I think is hilarious because I'm sure it's a play on the flying Mojito Brothers. I don't know if you guys remember the Flying Burrito Brothers.
The name only.
Yeah, it's Chris Hillman and Graham Parsons. I mean, he was sort of after the Birds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's the whole California country rock sound, and apparently these guys are way into that, but they do it's more EDM.
They're the
with that twist,
I would say,
which I think is hilarious.
They're the Outeroo headliners on Tuesday at 12:30. The Flying Mojito Brothers. So
I think that's
mix
hilarious.
you up a mojito and head on over.
Jumped out at me.
Guess who's going to be there on Tuesday?
Yep, that's why I brought it up.
Let's see. Not me.
Yeah.
Not Barry.
Yeah. Not that one. Not that.
So we can.
Well, and you're right. There's usually nothing to do Tuesday.
Right.
So the fact that they've got programming starting Tuesday is,
That's the point. That's the only really thing I wanted to say about it. I mean, the rest of it is, if you're there and you want to stay in camp, there's plenty to do. And it's pretty good stuff.
Wednesday. Every time I look at a schedule right now, and I know this isn't true, but it feels like it, I'm seeing Boots scooting Boogie Nights. Like every time I look at one of these, and they're playing on Wednesday on the Giddy Up, Galactic Giddy Up. Yeah. So
you're are you saying Corey might know a guy?
Yeah. And
he must know somebody.
And it would be criminal for me not to have caught one of these as many times they're going to do
we gotta
this.
go.
Yeah. I don't even know the guy. You guys do, but I've just plus I know I'll enjoy it. I mean, I'll enjoy '90s nostalgia every day of my life. So that was Wednesday, and then the only other like commentary quickly that I would have is on that same stage on Thursday. Eggy and Geese are playing, and they're also playing, unless there's been some schedule shifts, which I saw some threads saying maybe there were, but I haven't seen it on the things I pulled up. That Eggy and Geese, who are scheduled for the Outeroo Thursday. So they're doing double dips on that Thursday, I think. So if you want Eggy and Geese, you're going to get plenty of opportunity for that.
All right, and Fisher's over there at 4.
Exactly. Good. There you go. Good, Barry, because I forgot about that one. He's
2 to 5.
He is on headliner EDM level, according to our EDM people we've met and talked to. And he's also, playing the Where in the Woods on that. What is that again? That is Thursday.
Let's talk about this for a minute. This is Thursday, and they're programming Eggy, Geese, Fisher until 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And we've said it on here 1,000,000 times. Don't go hard on Thursday, man. I mean, what does this do to people?
You don't have a choice. You got to go hard.
You got to go
check
hard.
out all this.
You know, I don't know. Young people are resilient, man. They can shake this stuff off quick. And if I was, if this was the thing 15 years ago, I would not listen to the advice of don't go hard on Thursday. And especially if you gave me an opportunity not to. And that's what they are. Now, just because they're giving you some stuff to do doesn't mean you have to go hard. I mean, come on. No. We all got to be responsible for ourselves. But let's not kid ourselves. It leads to, that. So it's just, all you can do is continue to warn. Continue to warn. Yeah. And someday, son, you will understand.
I'm not trying to be get off my lawn guy.
Sure. It's just the truth. It's just the truth.
It's just the truth. I mean, Bonnaroo in a normal year is a slog. I mean, Thursday to Sunday or Monday is tough. Now we've added Tuesday, Wednesday, and late night Thursday. So good for them. I mean, I'm not complaining. Yeah. Like you said, we're supposedly adults. I don't know, raising my hand and saying, guys, be careful.
I'm just happy they're giving all this extra. I'm happy that's giving what I hope is making people feel the value the ticket is worth.
Oh,
that's what I hope comes from this the most.
Excellent point. I mean, and we've said that to people say, wow, that's an expensive ticket. I mean, yeah, but you're getting your money's worth in one day.
If you're into all this stuff, I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't buy all this.
If you do it right.
Yeah, you can't buy all this together anywhere else.
Correct.
And so I think that might be the biggest motivation. And again, it's just another Bonnaroo ahead of the curve. And a lot of these acts are not expensive, so this isn't that expensive for them to put on. I mean,
no,
Fisher might be, but
a lot of them aren't full shows, right? You
Probably.
might get a band member or the lead singer or something who's spinning record, doing whatever.
Yeah.
It's not like they're moving the full, what stage show out into Outeroo.
yeah.
But even that's cool because you're getting to see something you would not see anywhere else.
Well, then Friday also still on Outeroo, the Sudden Death. That was one of the bands that one of our EDM guys were telling us about. They're doing also another set there too. So many of these are doing multiple sets. Now I think that's part of the culture of that. I think playing multiple sets anywhere they go is part of what they do.
Yeah, and I would hope so. I would hope you've got your if I were the artist, which I'm not, but if I were the artist, I would do my set, and then this is an opportunity to do something I've always wanted to do, the deep cuts, if you will, or whatever. So no, I think it's great. I don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to poo-poo any of this. I'm just trying to raise my hand of caution and be like, my God, guys. We're talking Thursday. You still have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to go.
Well,
so
speaking of Friday, there's our
careful.
guys and gals Camp Outeroo annual craft beer exchange at 11 at group camping on Friday. That's I even when I did drink, I didn't drink craft beers, but that was fun. A lot of fun that one time we went, and that was so many years ago now. I can't imagine how much better it is. I've got to get out.
We got to go back.
We're gonna
Taco.
That's gonna be a big part.
You
of
have to
my,
take charge in this. You have to take charge,
right.
and you have to be forceful in making sure that we all do this as a group.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get the golf cart ready. We'll all load up. We'll head out there.
I'm gonna get into that here in a little bit. That's a big part of my whole pitch. But,
Okay, well, we'll slow down there.
All right.
All right. So Sunday, Alison Wonderland. Yeah. So
Yeah, and then
Again.
there's nothing else I really have to say other
there's
than that.
Bonnaroo. Nice. Bonnaroo's on there. Is he on the every other day, or is it just that one?
I'm not sure
You
about
see him there
that.
under the rest stop.
I know his name's on there a time or maybe two, but I do not know for sure.
Yeah, he's on there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Okay. All right. So that's Outeroo again. Again, guys, you can curate this lineup, Bonnaroo, any way you want to. You could literally never leave your camp. You could never leave Outeroo. You could only do Centeroo. You could jump around. To your point, Brian, about the value added. There's a lot to do. There's too much to do.
No, there literally is too much to do because it's not humanly possible to get to all of it.
Not.
But
Can't do it all.
No.
That's always been a Bonnaroo thing, and it's done in very purposefully. It's not designed for you to see all these bands. It's
correct.
designed to appeal to the most amount of people, and I believe this is me just thinking right this moment, make your imagination go wild. And give you this sense of specialness that we all believe it actually has, and I love it.
That's one of the things that in talking to organizers of these types of events over the years, one of the big shifts came when they figured out that everybody, whether it's 40,000 or 80,000 people, wants to have a unique experience. They want to feel like they did and saw something that no one else did.
They give the ultimate platform to do that.
Correct.
And while so many
so,
other festivals have gone to that kind, and I like this too. It depends on what day I want to be in. This stage ends, this stage starts. This stage ends. You'll never miss a set. You'll be able to see them all. That's fine too. That's a different model.
Right.
That by no means, and they would never, Bonnaroo would never even apologize for it. That's not what we do. We put on a nonstop, just rotating party that you can make it, just like you said,
right.
you can curate it to whatever you want. That's
Whatever
the
you
beautiful
want.
part about it.
I agree. All right. Well, let's go through my picks, and I'm going to do them a little bit differently. I mean, I'm still going to go through day by day, but I've thought about this for probably 6 months, and I don't know why. But I'm about as excited about this year as I've been in forever. And I think it's because I think I've settled on, there's a lot of people I want to see, and they're not just artists. You mentioned the beer exchange, and I started making a list this morning of my priorities, what I want to accomplish this year at Bonnaroo. And number one is the beer exchange. I want to go and hang out with all the people that we've been interacting with because of this stupid podcast and Discord. And I mean, having Kevin on, Kevin Barnes. I mean, we've known that guy how long now? Because of Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Parker, the Ruham guys, Daniel and Charla, Mitchell. My number one priority is to get there to that beer exchange and stay as long as we can and just hang
Yeah,
out.
just gotta hope we get some weather for that and get a little assistance transportation. If I would love to record out there too. We've talked about
We're
that.
going to.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
so that's
yeah.
gonna be a big day. I agree, and I just can't wait to see what it looks like now because I want to say I think it was maybe 2019 or 18. It could have been
18 or
18.
19.
Yeah, and
I
that would
think
have
it
been
was
the
18.
infancy of those of that idea. That was like just like kind of organically coming together at that time. So
Were you there, Russ?
I was there, and
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, we
it was-
we schlepped all that equipment over there, and
I know.
yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
It was all my stuff, and I was and I remember Brad. I was a little annoyed because I didn't know what we were doing exactly, and then Brad, to his credit, Brad Steiner gave me a very, very heartfelt thank you and like half hug because he could tell and I was nervous because this was
Absolutely.
the older days of having I had to bring my laptop and I had to bring everything, not just a little recorder, and I was like, oh my God, do we have enough power? Things aren't working. I'm not having fun. But it went
and Brad's walking around like I'm the talent.
yeah.
I don't
Brad's
do
got his
this.
strength, like, so,
you figure it out.
What time do we start around here? You know, like,
Yeah. How's my hair?
How's my hair? I'm the talent. Tell me when
Yeah.
to start talking.
and it went great. It went great. That lives
really did.
somewhere. You know, you want to go back
Yeah.
6-7 years. That show lives.
oh, it's on the
Yep, it's up there.
it's up
It's
there
on the
with all the
website.
others,
Yeah.
and that was cool. And I think for me, it was kind of an aha in a lot of ways. It was one, we asked for a golf cart, right? And
Yes.
they gave us a ride.
pretty easily too.
We got we got that. Yeah, we got that both years.
Yeah, we've done
Both
it
years
3 or
we
4
went, yeah.
times. We've gotten the golf cart. So it was an aha, like, okay, these guys think we're legit. They don't think we're,
We're not yahoos.
dumbasses.
Yeah.
Right. So there was that. There was, we can do this. I mean, to your point, Brian, you brought everything. I did too. I brought everything I had. We had cables, microphones.
Way
I
too
don't
much
remember
stuff.
Where we got
'cause-
power.
Yeah, way too much stuff because at that point you didn't know exactly what you might or might not need.
Bring
so
everything.
you brought it all.
Bring everything, right? And we went through, I mean, I don't remember. You remember how we had to like work our way back into that little tent area where they were?
Yeah, and one of the
Yeah,
years.
we were kind of in the back.
Yeah, one of the years I think there was a little bit of weather coming in where we had to cut it a little short, if I'm remembering right. Or
Well, that was last year. We had to leave.
That was
was that what it was
you
last
weren't
year?
there because you
Like-
didn't get there. Yeah, last year.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
but anyway, it was the aha, we can do this, and it was also an aha because this damn beer exchange is legit.
Yeah, they had those big tubs
Yeah.
that just full
Oh my
of
God.
beers.
And it was one of those where it was like, okay, Bonnaroo is more than just an act on the 10 main stages. There's a whole world happening out here
Yeah.
in Outeroo. Wasn't called that then.
No, and to their
Classes.
credit, I was about to say, to their credit, this was early days stuff before any of this Outeroo stuff. Then they had a little bit of stuff like, oh, go to the barn over here, and maybe there's a little
Shakedown Street,
disco
and stuff
light
like-
or whatever.
Yeah,
There was
and the
Yeah.
art,
the
the art plazas. That was about
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
This, I mean, I don't know if it was a jumping off point, but I bet they can claim that, and no one can refute it. So big. I mean, just excellent work they've done. So I look forward to seeing it.
100%. So I want to do that. That's high on my list, and then the rest is very similar. I want to hang out with Parker and Dalby and the Ruham guys. I want to do, what is that? I don't know that I want to do cornhole or whatever, or pong or whatever. But
No, I don't play cornhole at a football
never
game.
have either. I refuse to even say the word typically.
You got to come up with a better name for your game before I'll make it involved.
Please. But I want to have a hams with those guys.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I want to see Pondo and Evan Bonnaroo and Bonadude and
Yeah, I got to
people.
hang out with Evan Bonnaroo, man. We become
got
like
to,
text
yeah.
snap like best friends. I've never even met the guy, but I feel like he's like my second or third best Bonnaroo friend. So,
those are way up on my priority. And so
Yeah.
how the festival plays out, the beer exchange is a fixed time. It's Friday at 11.
It is.
And we want to. You mentioned the rain. We had Romy shout out to Romy. She was great. Drove us there last year in almost 10 minutes. She started getting the walkie-talkie. You need to come home. You need to come back to the base because there's a storm coming.
Yeah, that's what I
think
thought I was remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had about enough time. We got out, we bingled, we opened a beer, and then, Romy is freaking out because she just got the call that you need to come back to base, and we're thinking, okay, well, you're all right. Should we go with you?
Right.
And
Glad we did.
And the beautiful
we had to vacate.
thing is, which maybe everybody in the world already knew this, but I was just looking at the Friday schedule, the Outeroo schedule. Everything gets started at 1 or later, 1:15 or later. So that the Outeroo beer exchange is happening 2 hours prior to what I still consider as a 20-year going guy. Friday is still my day one. Everything is that I'm there for early. If I am, I enjoy. I'm happy it's there. For me, Friday's when it really starts to hit, like in your heart, right? Your soul, like today's the day. It's Friday, man. And I know that might not be shared by everybody these days because it's stretched out. But Friday's my day.
No, I'm glad to hear you say that because that's, I won't get there till Thursday morning. Really because I want to. I mean, I know, Russ, we joke, you're going to go Tuesday.
Yes.
And in the past, I would have and have.
Wednesday was my day for years because they used to let everybody walk the grounds after the place is lit up.
Correct.
They're testing all the lights, and that's another sight to be seen. You can see it from a distance while you're there, but to walk around with almost nobody else around and see the clock tower.
That's what I love too.
The clock tower and all the stages are testing all their lights. It's
right.
Dorky, weird stuff that I love, but they don't let you do that as much, or at least every year you're not sure, and so I've kind of cut Wednesday out.
Well, that's what I'm kind of curious about the Tuesday Outeroo thing, and I know people can arrive Tuesday, so we'll see. But for me, it's going to start Thursday. I'll probably leave here casually, which means I get up there 10:30 in the morning. Russ, you will already have been there. I assume the Velans will have already been there. Maybe our friend Nate Gale. So going to hang out at Camp Nut Butter. Yeah, going to hang out. And, I want to see Michigander, so I may walk over, say she. I can see me going over and checking that out because that's a 3-4 o'clock Thursday.
Early stuff on that. And I remember one of our callers said specifically, Barry, that you were a say she guy, whether you knew it or not.
Oh, I agree. I like it. I like it. I like the vibe. The thing is, because of the way the festival has changed with everybody arriving so early, people are ready to go. So the Outeroo is very crowded, believe it or not, by that time. So that may dictate, but I'm into it. The heavy, it's going to be a walk-by kind of thing, and I do definitely want to see Pretty Lights. So that's going to kick off Bonnaroo for me Thursday night. Where I see it, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, that's a 9 o'clock start. That's a beautiful start time for me. I listened to some Pretty Lights the last couple of days, and that's going to be fun. That's going to be really good.
And I really want to see Gwar. So
I should say me too, but I don't know if I do.
Well, you've seen him. I think I did.
No, I
years
didn't
and years
see.
and
I
years.
wasn't there
I
for
thought you
the.
had.
No,
Okay.
I didn't go. And that's why this is kind of a must.
I'm looking at my wall. I have a signed photograph of Gwar because they were here at the Bay in a local club many years ago.
That goes back a long time.
Boy, is there a more appropriate place for Gwar to play than the Bay?
No kidding.
I'm sure that place looked like a slaughterhouse.
I
when it was
love Jim Stryker, and I love the Bay. It's some of my earliest music, watching live music experiences. But boy, what does Gwar not fit into the Bay better than anybody?
Oh my God! And shout out to Jim. He's recovering from some open heart surgery.
Yeah.
So
heard he was doing all right. So that's great.
He's doing
to hear.
great. Yeah.
Good.
He
Jim
recovered
Stryker's
very
the
quickly.
man.
But he brought a lot of those types of bands to Chattanooga. So, all right, and then Friday for me, I got to go see Larkin Poe.
That'd be a rock show. This would be a good
They're
rock
just
show.
down
yeah.
from down the street, Calhoun. I interviewed them when they were still just the sisters. There were 3 of them. I think they're great. I think they play rock and roll.
It's good, good old Southern rock and roll, and that's the
Yeah.
opening set on the what. That in itself is a cool
Right.
accolade to say.
That's
I
huge.
think anyway.
I
Boy,
agree.
and that'll
good for them.
God, those guitars will sound good. Now it's a little simplistic overall. You know, as far as it's a country alt rock act.
Yeah, it's Southern rock, Southern guitar, screaming, wailing.
Yeah.
I love
They're-
it. But they can go. It's a good 90 or whatever they're going to do, an hour.
1 hour.
I like them. I feel like, just out of respect, need to go see him do Mokhtar, but I don't know that I can make that work. But we'll see.
Yeah, you'd have to be crisscrossing the
Right.
property pretty quickly. Certainly doable, but you would have to be well planned for that.
That's right.
Yeah,
And then I
that's
don't
right
really
opposite.
have. Go ahead, Russ. I'm sorry.
I said that's right opposite of Larkin Poe. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna be tough.
Yep. And then I don't really, Gary Clark Jr. I'd like to go see, maybe depending on what is happening. Again, this is Friday, so I want to see all the people that I mentioned. So maybe it's, hey, meet me at Gary Clark Jr. in Outeroo type of thing, or maybe I'm still out at. No, I wouldn't be out because we'd be in there seeing Larkin Poe. So Friday day for me is just kind of figured out. Krungbin is on my definite list just because I so enjoyed their interview with us. And I really think they're unique enough, that that's the type of thing I want to see. And it goes right into Maggie Rogers. So...
There's a lot of crisscrossing on the which and what you can do that day. I would think any of
Exactly.
us would fit our taste, just kind of weaving in and out of those 2 stages.
Right. And Post Malone probably is going to be, if I'm close, our camp is close enough. I can go see a few minutes. I can wander in depending on what's happening. That's going to be a, moment.
Yeah.
That's going to be
Game
a
time
first-
decision.
Yeah. Game time decision. Call it on the first tee kind
Yeah.
of thing. Same with T-Pain. It may be Friday night. I'm loading back up for the rest of the weekend. I know Mars Volta is big for you, right, Russ? Isn't that your?
That's me. I'll be glued to
You
that
got a
stage
late
for
night
that whole
that
show.
night potentially.
Yep.
Yeah, it may be one of those where you talk me into it, and I go with you, depending on what has happened leading up to it. My daughter, I think, would kill me if I don't go see Maggie Rogers. So
Yeah, she's hot.
obsessed.
She's hot right now.
And Grace, my daughter, just adores her. So that one's depending on what happens after that. Maybe I go with Russ and we go see Mars Volta. So Friday's pretty light, but maybe it's that's when I get to see all these people that I've every year.
Not a bad thing.
Somebody says, "Hey, are we gonna hug and howdy?" And I'm like, "Yeah," and then something happens and we don't. So
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to overload, plan too much.
right. Saturday for me, Brittany Howard is probably the start of my day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Good place to
Brittany.
start it.
Good
Yep.
start. Yeah.
John Batiste. Like I said, where else am I going to see John Batiste?
Right.
I think he feels kind of like the sleeper act in this one for me.
That's a good point.
For some reason. I mean,
Yeah, and wasn't he on one of the canceled lineups? We were pumped to see him, and then of course it didn't
I
happen.
think so. Yeah,
I
I think so.
this is kind of a makeup almost. I think you're right. It might be a underrated act of the whole thing.
Yeah. And it's got that New Orleans, it brings that back into the Bonnaroo vibe, and so I would say Krungbin, Maggie Rogers, John Batiste, and a couple others are the don't miss acts for me. Some of the other Pretty Lights probably because I just think that show's going to be epic, and I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Does Cage the Elephant do anything for you?
Yeah, but not like have to.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Renee Rapp is interesting. Gonna figure out how to make one of those work. The Emo Super Jam definitely is interesting. I'm not happy about the 8:30.
Yeah, I don't like the timing of it either, but
Yeah.
I ain't an emo guy. But
But I want to see a bunch of emo, and I do plan to go over to the other as often as I can.
that'll be a people watching thing all day long.
Correct. But
Yep.
not at 8:30.
Yeah, that's early.
That just feels like, and then cigarettes after sex.
Yeah, that might be it. That's one we probably all need to gather together and go do.
Could
'cause
be a
I
group,
think that'll be fun.
We can do that.
That would be fun. Chili Peppers, I know you're feeling, Brian. I go back to Uplift Mofo Party Plan. I'm a huge fan since the beginning. But, I want to, it's going to sound flip. Part of me wants to go just to see if Anthony Kiedis has shaved that god-awful mustache off of his face. Somebody needs to tell
Who
me.
knows? Who knows? Like Red Hot Minute back in the 90s is one of the better albums of the entire decade, but that was an experimental record from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Then they have what you were talking about before that, and then everything after that. I mean, there's enough music out there for everybody, and I'll likely go take a look at it.
I mean, again, I'm looking at my my photographs. I've got a Chili Peppers signed by all of them with Hillel when he was still alive.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
this group now has Frusciante back, right?
And that's a
so
big deal.
That is a big deal. And Flea is. I think I've told you when I got to interview Flea, he answered the phone. He was at the mall with his daughter, and I don't know why that just struck me as funny. But the idea of Flea walking around a mall with his teenage daughter.
They're just regular people like us.
Just people, man. They're just people. But I'm a big fan of a lot of their work, so I will see it. And then after that, I'm going to be back at camp for sure.
Yeah.
Or hanging out. Again, my real goal this year is to hang out with people who we've met, through this podcast or online or whatever. So the music is important, but that's my main goal.
Sure. It's half the fun.
Yep. And then Sunday, typically, like you, Brian, I'm thinking I'm going home.
Yeah. I hate to
but
admit
I'm-
it, but it's where I've gotten in life.
My plan is to stick around. I'm committed to it. There's enough there to keep me there.
There's so much there. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Or that's the good
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. I mean, green sky, I can see hanging in the field there,
Sure.
just listening to bluegrass. And, I don't care for bluegrass, but that's a perfect time, perfect environment. That could be great.
If you got lucky with a little overcast skies and a 89-degree start to the day, that'd be
Right.
a perfect place to start the day.
Nice cold beer, just sort of hanging out, or whatever your preference is. Wander over to see beaches, hang around. Milky Chance gets me to Chapel Roan. Definitely want to see Chapel Roan.
We talked about that on my picks. I think that's going to be just fun. Just fun.
I do too. And Carly Rae, like you said, you got to do it, right?
If you can make it happen, you would be foolish, I believe,
Right.
not to.
Right.
It's just one of those acts where it's kind of like, there's just no reason to not go to this.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, because you'll never do it again. Why?
Exactly.
And that's one of the cooler things of Bonnaroo. There's so many things that if I don't go do this, it'll never happen again. Korn was that last year. If I don't go see
Right.
Korn, it's never going to happen. And then it turns out to be one of the best shows I've seen in half a decade. So
yeah, and you walk away and you're like, I'm glad I did that. Yeah, I got that in my pocket. So Megan Thee Stallion is the same. When else? When am I ever going to see Megan Thee Stallion?
Yeah, for me, the answer is just going to be never.
Yeah,
That's just me.
I know. Isbell on the Witch. If I can make it, and I'm planning to, that's awesome.
Yeah, you'll also see Jason Isbell about 500 more times if you want to. So that's not one of those. If I miss it, I'm missing any, unless, I don't know, he's recently divorced, maybe he's rocking a little bit more, maybe the lullabies are going away, and I'm an Isabel guy. I'm as Isabel guy as anybody, and I'm totally on board with that show. But
I know.
you never know what you're going to get, and that might mean I might be contradicting myself. Maybe that's the reason to make sure and see it.
It kind of, for some reason, has that Brandy Carlisle on Sunday vibe on that.
Well, because he's a
stage.
male Brandy Carlisle these days.
Well, I know, but that show surprised me. I mean, she was great.
I mean, they're both great, but it can be very kind of, hug your girlfriend songs, right? Like, or you're, the girl next to you that wants to be your girlfriend for an hour. Like, that's fine. But Jason Isbell is a rock and roll guy too, and he's kind of moved away from that over the last decade.
And then if I'm there, obviously Fred again. So that's Sunday. The whole lineup vibe has flipped, where Thursday now looks really, really good, and Sunday looks really, really good. Whereas not that long ago, Thursday was let's go discover somebody, and then Sunday was I'm going home, because they would have one headliner at 9:00 that was worth sticking around for, but the rest of the day was tough.
Many times that's been the case, and with that Thursday opening up the Field, that is going to alleviate crowds and make that much better for Thursday. So yeah, Thursday. This is the first year ever. How long have they done Thursday as an official day? 12 years, maybe 12, 13 years. This first time I've ever been like, I'm looking forward to Thursday. Every other day of this festival, every other year, I should say, the Thursday was just the
get there, get your camp set up, get comfortable.
Yeah. Until though, when I did have a little shift in that, when I found Courtney Burnett on a Thursday,
blew it all up.
And
that was one act and maybe two.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And that was 2015. That was a long time ago.
One of the things we need to mark it down. One of the shows I want to do after is to talk to Corey and Brad and just ask them, going back to the whole, hey, we like the sausage making. I want to ask them how this is stressed the staff.
I bet it's stressed them out a lot because there's so much logistically to keep up with.
For a week.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Not just 4 days now. We're talking Tuesday to Monday.
There's a lot to coordinate. There's a lot of earpieces getting screamed into.
And not just days, but Centeroo, Outeroo.
Yeah.
This is like 3 festivals packed into one. Most festivals are not this big. Yeah.
At least 3.
Well, I don't know about y'all, and I can tell it's starting to, I can tell from our conversations every week. The excitement level is getting up there, and there's been a few years here recently where that excitement level felt like it leveled off and felt like maybe it wasn't even getting close to what it was. Not that I wasn't wanting to go or feeling like it had lost its way or was negative on it, but that sometimes you can't fabricate real, genuine, and emotional excitement. You can't make that happen just because you want it. And
I can tell you, 2 years ago. A lot of things that happened, and not to wham, but I just had a hip replaced. It was 4 bazillion degrees.
Yeah.
Logistically getting there that day was tough. They moved us from our,
was that our first year in our new?
That was our first
new
move.
digs.
Yeah.
New digs, and so and all of our Camp Nut Butter, most of our Camp Nut Butter people were not making it for a variety of reasons.
God, it was actually, it was a little sad. Like it was, I think I know that's where you're going with this a little bit.
Exactly.
It took the air out of the excitement balloon. But then you just gotta, realize what you're doing. Or for me, realize where you're at, what you're doing, and recreate, kind of recreate your own new excitement.
Well, and also I should, work was not nearly as into it. So, there was real internal discussion with me whether I was even going, that year.
Well, that was the same
And
time frame I was having work issues that were making.
think you
These
were.
were all things that used to be so easy to us, and it's like, my gosh, this is now, and we take it for granted, and I
Right.
certainly did, and I would be like, well, I mean, yeah, it's time, right? Like, wait, who are you again? Who are you with? Oh, well,
And I
remember
remember-
all that stuff? No, we don't. Who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Got there that Thursday, and it was the hottest ever.
Oh God,
And I thought, why
It
am
was
I
super
here?
hot.
And
is that the year I
uh,
left? For the
Yeah,
I left.
yeah, oh yeah. They took your.
They took my blood,
They took your
my
meds?
blood
Was it-
pressure medication.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything was yeah.
yeah.
And but as we've said and we joke, it's never not great. And I was glad I went, and super glad I didn't miss it.
Yeah, that ended up being
had
a
lot
good.
of nice things.
That ended up being
Yeah.
a good year anyway. And I did come back. I came back on Friday, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you
Well,
did.
I was the dummy. Just a real quick tip here. We're not doing tip show. If you're bringing medication, bring the bottles with your name. And I learned this from Tara V from Camp Nut Butter. Put them in a bag where they're all lined up with the name, where they can just grab the bag, see the name, see the dates, and then hand it right back to you. And that's how it'll be. I was the dummy that put them in the elderly, take your your vitamins every day.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
I just brought that thinking, well, this is beautiful. I don't have to bring all these bottles. They're portioned out per day. And it's just blood pressure medication is the main thing. Might have been a little bit more than that, but not much. And no, this won't work. Garbage. What do you?
Yeah, yeah.
It's about to be
And
90
you're,
degrees.
You just
and what was the?
you just
what was
caused
it?
my blood pressure to go up.
Melatonin to help.
Yeah,
help you
melatonin,
sleep,
which
right?
I could have worked around
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you've just now given me. I might have a heart attack right now because my anxiety's exploding. And they, that's just. They
Yeah,
weren't
they're doing
doing
their job.
anything wrong. You're not
their
allowed
job.
to bring in undocumented medication. They don't know if that's a fentanyl pill. They don't. Now, 40-year-old something guy, media dude.
Yeah.
Can we have some discretion? That another conversation another day. They did nothing wrong. So
Right,
don't
right.
do that. Don't be dumb like me. Bring your bottles that have your name on it. You won't have to deal with that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned, because we will have a tips and tricks episode, do's and don'ts, coming up. We've got a lot of calls.
Oh, good,
Please
good.
continue to call.
Yeah. We got to find. We got to
Um,
still dig up all that stuff. I keep thinking, oh, here's something for the prize pack. I want to.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah,
do that
we-
probably
we getting-
next week.
Getting prize packets. Yeah, I think next week
Do's and
is a
don'ts,
good time.
Plus, we'll include some of those phone calls, 423-667-7877.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun. Keep-
Call and share us your best tips.
Geez, by
and
then
also-
we'll have 2 shows left before we're off to go. So
I
let's
know.
do
No
it.
kidding,
Let's get
yeah.
interactive.
We're going to do do's and don'ts. And also, I asked last week, what's your favorite memorabilia? And we've gotten some of those.
We got some of that too. We'll go over that.
Literally some cool stuff. Some, and as I said, it could be, the blade of grass you were sitting on when you met your future significant other, or you met a celebrity, or you saw a show that meant something, or you looked up at the sky and it just felt right.
Yeah,
Whatever. There's no right or wrong answer. And I'm not so much interested in, I got, I don't know, whatever expensive memorabilia. I'm more interested in the
Like from the
meaningful-
official merch tent or something like that.
Right.
I mean, if you want it, that means something to you. That's fine. But
Yeah.
there's
Although,
a lot of ways.
speaking of official merch,
Yeah.
they just announced a package of a blanket, a Bonnaroo blanket, plus a cooler, like a cooler where you can put over your shoulder. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Nice.
I could get into that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, the merch tent is just like many other traveling festivals and concerts merch, like the official, we'll call it tent. I guess it is a tent, but sometimes it's like a big mobile thing in other bands' setups. That thing is popping and bumping every day. And
Yeah.
those are some expensive stuff. And that's true with all merch tents. You can still hang out on Shakedown and go find the bootleg thing that came from somebody in Paducah, Kentucky.
Oh yeah,
And that's the kind of stuff
I got a bootleg-
That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for.
I got a bootleg shirt. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty neat.
Love the bootleg stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So, God, like you said, 3 more shows?
Oh yeah,
right.
something like that. I mean, it's close. Yeah. Can't
right.
wait.
Any other business, Russ, we need to do? Clean up? Call that number, 423-667-7877. Or what is it? Comment? Or what's the email?
Comments at thewhatpodcast.com. If you've got a picture you want to send us, email it, and we'll.
We can run some. Yeah. I guess we can run like a slideshow or something, or not a slideshow technically, but pop up some stuff. Taco, I'm trying to talk about your world. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Send us a picture, even though your merch. We talked about that. I'm looking at all the stuff I've collected, and I'm trying to figure out how I may send you some pictures, Russ, because I've got not mailboxes, lunch boxes, bandanas. We all have bandanas. Rufus, the little action figures. So.
Yep.
Might have to just get into that because that's a part of it too. But all right, well, another great show. Thank you guys. I can't believe we do this every week, and it holds my interest.
Yeah,
y'all aren't boring me yet.
We'll keep it going.
Cool.
We'll keep going.
It's almost time, Rube.
We need to get together and compare our camp notes. Russ and I talked about that Friday.
Yep. We need to have a camp meeting.
Yeah, not just us, everybody out there listening. Get together with your people. Actually, shake that tent out and make sure the rats haven't eaten it.
The pre-show Bonnaroo planning meetings are actually very, very valuable. They help with all things the whole week, rather than just a text thread that's got 25 people on it saying, "Yeah, I'll bring the extra ice," and then you don't even know who that. I thought you were. You didn't even know that number. That number's not like plugged into your phone. You don't even know who that person is.
Yeah.
So
I thought you had the tent poles.
I know gathering together is not, in person is not as popular as it once was, but a lot of fun.
All right,
let's do that soon. Yeah.
All right, guys. See you next week.
All right. See ya.
See ya.
Consequence Podcast Network.